This is Scott Richmond
and Arnie Sherman.
You're listening to What Do You Know on Newstalk KGVO, AM 1290 and 101.5 FM. Good morning, Arnie Sherman. How are you?
Scott, it's a good morning today. We're going to do something on this show we've never done before.
What's that?
I have no idea who our guest is today.
Is that right?
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't know what they do. I'm going to be surprised when they walk in the studio, and we're just going to wing it. This is going to be like, a cold turkey,
right.
approach to online digital radio interviewing.
I love that. So
my question for you, though, in anticipation of, this is our version of the Seinfeld show about nothing.
And I've not been prepped, by the way.
We haven't been prepped about anything. This is a complete blind show today, with no background and no preparation. But I do have two questions for you.
Yes.
When was the last time you were surprised? And secondly, what was the biggest surprise of your life, besides the first date you ever got when she said yes? Give me the two biggest, the most recent surprise and the biggest surprise.
The other day, I turned the corner in the office and I ran into somebody and I was really surprised. I mean, that was a surprise, believe it or not.
What, that handcuffs and it was more
no, it was just
officer?
Not hearing them coming, and then all of a sudden, boom, right in front of me, and I took a step back. That was a surprise, if you want to know what a surprise was.
Okay.
And then a big surprise in the last couple of months, I would say, was when Kathy threw me a 50th over at my house.
Particularly since you're only 37, and maybe it's a clue, or a tip-off or something.
Big surprise is when I get up in the morning and I get piss straight.
That's pretty good. So I'll answer the same question.
That's
the most recent surprise is after we had Eden Atwood on our show a few months ago.
Yeah.
She sort of challenged me to see if I could write a song, lyrics to a song, right?
Yes.
I can't write music, and I've listened to it my whole life. It doesn't make me an artist of any kind. But I took up the challenge and wrote some lyrics for a song.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, we have a demo of the song.
Yes.
And there are people that want to record this demo.
Oh,
so
great.
That's pretty exciting. And, we'll let our listeners know when and if this matures into something serious.
Okay.
But we have a song called Better Than That. And
I've heard
it's
it.
on the move.
I enjoy it. I know. It's you're climbing the charts.
Well, we haven't got on the chart yet or on the bus.
You're on my chart.
Well, okay. I appreciate that. But we will let our listeners know about that. Probably the biggest surprise of my life when I was in high school. I was not a very extroverted guy. I know that's hard to believe, but I was not a very extroverted guy. And we had an assembly at our high school that was a few years after John Kennedy had been assassinated.
Yes.
And Bobby Kennedy who was a senator from New York, came to this assembly. And because I was president of some organization in high school, I got to sit up on the stage. And we're waiting, and I was very shy and quiet in my high school years. And the principal came over to me and said, Arnie, are you ready? And I said, ready for what? And he said, well, didn't Mr. Holtzman tell you? And I said, tell me what? You're going to introduce Senator Kennedy.
Are you kidding?
No.
Another surprise in my life.
And that was a huge, not only surprise, but
why were you chosen to introduce him? Reach back.
It was because I was president of the version of the student council. I was president of some organization that invited him. But everybody failed to tell me that I wasn't president of the student body. I mean, no one mentioned to me that I was going to have to do that. And I'll never forget, I had to say, can I have your attention, please? And there were 5,000 people there.
Wow.
And everybody.
How old are you?
I was like 14, 15 years old.
Okay.
And I said, can I have your attention, please? Everybody got really quiet.
Yeah.
I said, will you all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? And everybody rose, and I had to lead them, So from going from a introverted, shy, quiet kid to leading an assembly of 5,000 people and introducing
a
senator without any preparation, just like today for this show. No preparation. We're winging it, and we're going to try to do our best and entertain our listeners.
We're going to do great. We're going to have a great partner. I mean, look, who our guest is. I told Arnie right before we got on air.
Well, it's Killing Frost Farms, but I don't know what they do. I don't know if they kill frost. they kill farms.
What does it mean?
I have no idea what it means.
The two principals, a husband and wife team.
Right.
Okay.
Are going to be here.
Yes.
And they do something on a farm.
They do some. No, but they have a greenhouse over by on the north side.
Our listeners may be shocked about the lack of preparation for an hour-long show, but we're going to show our acumen in pulling something out of nothing.
That's
today.
a nice way of putting it. I think we're going to learn a lot. We're going to learn about microgreens.
Everything I'm going to hear, I'm going to learn because I know nothing about what these guys do.
We're going to learn about microgreens. I love these
Microgreens?
I love these two. These are friends of my wife's best friend here in town.
So you know who they are.
I do.
Okay,
my wife's
good.
friend, one of her dearest friends in this town, an East Coaster, Maureen. This is her son and daughter-in-law. They started Killing Frost Farm in 2012. We're going to learn all about it.
Right, I'm going to find out from them.
Great energy. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you what they did.
No, I have no idea.
But we're going to have a good conversation. You're listening to What Do You Know on Newstalk KGVO. Back after this with Carly and Jamie Rogers from Killing Frost Farms. All right, we're back. We got Carly and Jamie here on What Do You Know. Arnie?
Yes, and we know nothing, so this is going to be a perfect show for us. So tell our listeners what Killing Frost Farms is and how you came up with that name.
Well,
Go to the mic. Go close to the mic, Jamie.
Close to the mic. Sorry.
Yeah.
You want me to close this door?
Speaking to the mic.
No. There are people trying to come in here like on the Today Show. They're pressing their faces up against the window. Go ahead.
So Killing Frost Farm, we grow microgreens.
What are microgreens?
Microgreen.
Do I have to look under a microscope to see them?
First of all, we could say we grow specialty produce and cut flowers. We run a wholesale flower market on Tuesday mornings, which is a couple different flower growers in Missoula bring product to the market, and florists and some private customers come and shop on Tuesday mornings, and then we sell our specialty produce to restaurants and the Western.
How many restaurants in town or in the area?
Well, so we sell directly to a few restaurants, and then we're also members of the Western Montana Growers Cooperative. So we have direct relationships with probably 4 restaurants in town, 4 or 5, and then a number of others through the Western Montana Growers Co-op.
Jamie. Where the name? Oh, excuse me. No, I'm pointing at.
It's confusing and convenient for a lot of people, actually.
CJ, Carly.
Yes.
Where did Killing Frost Farm?
By the way,
I have a
Carly's his
feeling
wife.
you have some role in coming up with that name.
I do indeed.
She's really
Yes.
good at naming businesses.
So this was named to kill something.
So killing frost is an agricultural term. It's the first hard frost of the year that essentially will kill any non-super hardy plants. We started our farm, our business, I think 2 weeks after the first killing frost, which seems like a really smart time to start a farm in Montana. We also had, basically no experience
So how many things did you kill before you got enough experience to not have them die?
I mean, it's still part of the experience, right?
They still die, right?
It's still part of it for sure, which is like really humbling and wonderful to just accept as part of it.
That you kill things.
Yeah, absolutely. That's part of it. Or nature kills things or what, there's only so much you can control in it. So having a sort of grim optimism seemed appropriate.
So how did you guys learn about all microgreens and flowers?
Yeah, where did that come from?
Where did that come from?
Really, Carly and I we're trying. Yeah, we
Terrible
were.
road
What
trip.
happened? Give us some. Wait, by the way, by way of background for our listening audience, your husband and wife, you guys
Yes.
met how long ago? And you met here, correct?
We met in Missoula at a rock show.
What artist?
I was playing.
Jamie.
Oh.
Yeah, Jamie he's got
I
a couple
hate your
bands.
girlfriend.
Oh, yeah, a band called I Hate Your
Which
Girlfriend,
seemed perfect.
which I think is ripe for a reunion here in the next year or so.
Sure.
Yes.
So look out for that.
Okay.
But yeah, Carly was friends with my bandmate, and
Things happen.
You stuck your
That's it.
presence in between her and your bandmate.
Well, her bandmate actually said,
Oh.
you got to meet my drummer.
Oh.
And Jamie's a drummer,
Yes.
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
So who was the bandmate? A female bandmate?
Yeah.
Madison Schroeder.
Madison.
She's amazing.
Okay. What band is this?
That band was called I Hate Your Girlfriend.
They're on hiatus.
They're on hiatus. Is that a label? I'm kidding.
Is that 'cause
No, but what type of
Is
music?
that because they really hate their girlfriend and nothing bad happened?
What type of music? Just so we're going off in a little tangent. but
Yeah,
do
that band.
here.
I mean, if you want, I have about 300 CDs at my house. That band was like, all alternative.
We had a whole conversation about this the other night. By the way, so it was a very fertile meeting ground for you two.
Yeah.
So the band's on
like that
hiatus.
pun?
You got no income coming, and somehow you came up with the idea. Let's grow microgreens.
no, first they start. First of all, they met. They started dating, and then what?
I mean, if you guys want, we could just tell you the story.
Yeah, we got to
Tell
hear
us the story.
See, Arnie, this is why you have to be prepped.
That's
Because
right.
all these questions I'm going to answer.
Keep going.
That's right.
So-
Tell us the story.
We met. Carly owned a hair salon in Missoula, and I was a fly fishing guide and a musician.
The typical Missoula couple. I mean,
Totally.
it's totally.
Right.
True.
Yes, absolutely.
Still are.
Yeah. And then
Are you from here?
I am not. I'm from the East Coast. Carly's from Montana.
Okay, we're in the East Coast.
Born in New York City, raised in Connecticut, went to high school in New Hampshire. So
Yeah,
like
typical,
the
yeah.
whole East Coast.
Well,
Exeter. No, did you go to Exeter?
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
This is guessing.
you got it. Really?
Yeah.
yeah, well,
I think I-
Nailed it.
unruly youth in New
Nailed
York
it.
ended up at
right,
Exeter
keep going.
somehow.
Nailed it. Which, of course, when he told me growing up in Montana City, Montana, he tells me he went to a boarding school, and I was like, oh, like what bad thing did you do to get sent to boarding school? Turns out Exeter is not for those kids.
No, it's not. All right, so
Yes,
you met.
it is actually.
They don't tell you. Or if they weren't before they went, they will be after.
You know, what happens is you get called into the principal's office, the parents, and they say, we think that an experience at Exeter might do your son some good.
But Jamie, you were out here for school?
I came out here for school in 2005.
Okay. All right, so then.
So then, so Carly and I met. We got married, and I was the fly fishing guide. She was a hairstylist and a salon owner, and we both were like kind of unhappy with our jobs.
Right.
Both super like egocentric jobs where you are with a customer all day, every day, and that's great. But it takes it out of you, and when you get home, like that didn't leave a lot of time for like.
We were in transition. We were ready for.
I'm not being negative about those.
When you say you're in
Career
transition,
path.
No,
it
but that's
takes
like
on
a
whole new
pretty
meaning these days.
absolute.
Listen, in counseling, we always try to focus on the things that you have in common, not the things that drive you apart.
Right.
Anyway, so
But what a
So-
great, but what a great turn to start this. I mean, this Killing Frost Farm.
Yeah.
So with the scheduling of our jobs, it worked out well because it was fall. Jamie was done for the season. I had sold my salon and was just moonlighting at another salon, so I could work, 30 hours a week and make a good income. He had the winter off anyway, so it was a good time to experiment with microgreens and just sort of learn how to be farmers as much of a degree that you can. Reading and watching YouTube videos.
Did you ever go talk to a farmer that was doing microgreen? No, this is just
we listened to a million podcasts. We read
about growing.
and about particularly small urban market gardening and farming.
Did you have enough land to do this at the beginning?
Which is a great question, right? And what I think largely
you need land to do this, right?
But largely made us feel like tourists to a degree for a long time because people would say, "How big is your farm?" And it's like, well, we have 2 halves of 2 city lots in this neighborhood and 2 other backyards in that neighborhood, and you sort of feel like a poser. But turns out.
Yeah, on the other hand, in places like New York and Boston, Chicago, they're all doing this.
Absolutely.
This is a totally normal thing there.
Absolutely. And, young farmers now, one of the most prohibitive things is land acquisition or the money to fund the machinery to work.
So do you really
40
consider
acres,
yourself farmers? Is that what you consider yourself?
Finally, yes.
Yes, so you're farmers.
I mean, you could say grower, you could say farm, but yes.
And that makes you happy because you're both sitting here smiling about it.
I do.
Well, not him. Jamie's saying, how did I get from being a rock star to a farmer?
He's still a rock star. Don't worry.
The one question was your lifestyle such that were you both vegan? Were you both eating healthy? Why microgreens? What was the allure of microgreens?
Well, I'm a capitalist, so I mean that was probably more honestly. Like I'm a business person, and it was made good business sense.
Jamie?
We literally, the microgreens thing is we wanted to start something new. And, initially we just grew the microgreens. And, talking about land, we grew the microgreens in like a closet to start. And we just had one customer.
I did that in college, by the way.
Really? It was.
And how long ago did this start?
So this was like 2.5 years ago. We literally just started to grow microgreens, not with the idea of having a business.
Right, just
with the idea of seeing if we could do it, and then our friends opened a restaurant and we asked, do you guys want this kind of stuff? And they said, yeah. And then another chef called. And then just one thing led to another, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, well, maybe one of us needs to quit our jobs to do this because it's kind of a lot all of a sudden.
Well, where were these guys getting the microgreens before they got it from you?
So they're like big national distributors that have the microgreens, so it's the same sort of.
So your competitive advantage is you're local, you're less money?
We're local, we're less money generally. And there's also just those guys can talk to the person who grows it.
Sure.
Can you explain? Sorry, real quick question. So can you explain what a microgreen is versus a regular green or a regular, vegetable?
Good question.
So a microgreen is if you think about like what a bean sprout is, you're an alfalfa sprout that comes on your tuna salad sandwich.
Not on mine.
Well, I could.
I'm a big. But tell us because
if you took one of those sprouts and put it in soil and gave it sunlight and water for another week, it would start to grow leaves. Right. And it would become a little tiny plant.
Right.
That's a microgreen.
Right.
So it's from and the way it was nice for us to get into this business and farming with microgreens is because from planting to harvest, you're looking at 2 weeks tops.
Really?
So when you screw it up, it's not like you need to wait till next year.
Faster than marijuana,
right? Just do it again.
It's like a lot faster than marijuana.
Yeah, so the learning curve, it's way faster. You make much less money. So the learning curve is super steep. So you get pretty proficient relatively quickly. Mm-hmm. And then what that allowed us to do then was say, okay, we're sort of figuring this out. The thing was, it's such a niche thing.
So what is the most in-demand microgreen from restaurants and from buyers? What do they want?
We like the piece. So we're now selling our microgreens to grocery stores,
right? Because
the whole thing for us always has been, this is like a garnish,
right?
And that kind of got boring for us growing garnishes. Although they're cool, but so we want to figure out.
It's a bougie, funny.
Yeah, so like we felt like the key was how do we get this for normal
garnishes
people
are usually like what's left over in the kitchen. Let's throw that on the plate and make it a garnish.
Thing though, the interesting thing is in a short format, in a small format, it packs a ton of taste. Okay, and a ton of flavor, and there are different flavors of microgreens.
Totally.
Right? So what are some of the most viable, popular ones?
So we have the ones we sell like at the good food store, they come in clamshells.
Right.
And we sell radish, which it's actually a daikon seed, radish seed. And I mean, sometimes they're so intensely spicy that you kind of like.
They're
hardcore. And they say that they're like up to 40 times the nutrient density as the mature version of the plants, which I'm not even really sure I understand what that means.
That means don't eat 40 times more of them, or you'll really be in trouble.
I think you need a little bit on a salad to have that radish flavor without having to look at the pink and white radish.
Well, and what we've decided is that if you put it on pizza, the pizza is kind of healthy.
For sure.
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what in theory. In theory, there's a healthy pizza.
Let me do a quick ID. You're listening to What Do You Know on Newstalk KGVO. Our guests are Carly and Jamie Rogers from Killing Frost Farm, and we are learning about microgreens.
So do you have employees?
No. We subcontract.
Right. Well, that's good. That makes sense.
But, I don't think we should get too much into that.
No. So, okay.
Are you planning to run for president?
In the long run, in an attempt to avoid incarceration, is there a long-term vision for this business?
Let's just say he's not a Trump fan.
Well, so yeah, so
I mean, 10 years from now, you're going to be doing this, you think?
I think so, yeah. I mean, we love it. And what we've done is it's gone from microgreens to cut flowers to regular produce. but it's all in backyards in Missoula.
So let me talk about cut flowers for a minute. I noticed that when I go past some florists that sell cut flowers, they come in boxes from places like, Colombia and
Ecuador.
And so are you growing the same flowers that compete with those flowers?
Much of the time, yes.
And so your competitive advantage with that is you're local and you're fresher and and you don't have to pay FedEx to get your flowers delivered. Is that the pitch?
Yes, all of those things. I think the floral industry, as far as growing and purchasing flowers in bulk, is changing a lot. It's the dirtiest, one of, if not the dirtiest sector of agriculture in terms of pesticide use. The labor laws, particularly for women in those countries, are rough. So it's complicated, and I think people are becoming more aware of it. It's interesting. Like, we will pay to ship in these flowers from countries where young mothers or pregnant women are growing them and are handling pesticides that we wouldn't even be allowed in that greenhouse or to touch within 48 hours, and they're in it.
So that gives you, beside the fact that that's a horrible set of circumstances, it does give you a competitive advantage because you do not do those things.
Right, we don't. So, but at the end of the day, price is where it's at. So florists still absolutely ship in a ton of stuff, absolutely, in order to make their bottom line, in order to provide it for their customers. So I think, like any movement, like the food movement, a lot of it starts with the consumer base, sort of becoming aware of those circumstances. And
could you produce enough cut flowers to meet everybody's needs here locally or not?
Well, I think it's a rising tides lift all ships type of scenario. We certainly couldn't by ourselves.
Right.
And are there flowers you can't grow here that grow?
Sure.
Like orchids or something like that? Or?
Sure, not without a substantial energy input that we would never do.
Right. What I love about now what these guys are doing, what I'm fascinated with is they're powering an economy in Missoula of these young upstart local companies that are producing a very interesting but competitive, in-need product, okay? And you're serving other businesses that are along those same lines, like the Burn Street Bistro.
Right.
Or you're also
the Good Food Store, for example.
Well, they do Good Food Store, so there's local, and they're supporting each other, and
totally.
that's great for our economy. But also, I think it's worth saying, since I've been to their farm and I've seen it and tasted it and enjoyed it, the sky's the limit for them. They could have another 2 acres of parcel of land, and they could figure out how to work it.
Sure.
And and there may be a ceiling for you guys because there's just not as much demand as you will with respect to product, but you still have a lot more room to grow, don't you?
God, in terms of flowers, it's I don't think I would see that ceiling in my lifetime.
Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because people aren't doing it here.
So, Carl, let me ask you the most important question.
Yes.
What's it like working with your husband on a daily
Oh my God,
basis?
it's so funny. It's awesome. It's awesome. It's
Jamie,
been good
do
for
you
us,
feel
but-
the same way?
No, but people will ask us, how long have you been married? And it's we've only been married 2.5 years, but it may as well be 6. We spend every hour of you have to deal with everything.
Right.
Sometimes
sometimes that kind of business intensity ends up severing relationships rather than making them more intimate and stronger. In your case, you're opting to tell me
together.
You're bound together.
It's hard as hell sometimes, but it's awesome.
Isn't this a familiar story though of the husband and wife that kind of get some land?
Bonnie and Clyde.
They get land and they
Yes.
and they work the land and they do it together and they build a foundation and then
and then Shane comes along. It's a typical Montana story. It's something that when you grew up back east you wouldn't necessarily have imagined this scenario.
Gosh, I still don't. We're new enough at this, and I'm bad enough at keeping in touch with old friends that I have conversations fairly regularly with people I haven't spoken to in a few years.
And their answer is, come on. What are you really doing?
I'm a farmer
What are you really doing?
What the heck? Yeah, no.
I'm in love with your
it's
daughter.
Totally crazy. But we both have the temperament. Whatever we're doing, we're gonna do it full tilt.
Right.
We're the kind of people that turn hobbies into jobs.
Sure, something you like and something you're passionate about.
Just do it all in. So when we're doing different things all in, it's kind of harder for us in terms of marriage stuff.
That's true.
Then we just have to be all in on the same thing.
But is there a point, for example, in this when people from Butte and Great Falls or Spokane or other places start finding out about you and want your product, that your business is going to grow to the point that it may be more institutional than it is now?
Good question.
Well, I'll answer. So, Carly and I kind of operate the different fingers of the business, me being the produce and her being the cut flower. I'll say this for the produce side of it. If our customers, the Cafe Dolces or the Burn Street Bistros in Missoula, whoever they are in Spokane, they don't want backyard stuff from Missoula. Meaning for Burn Street and Cafe Dolce, the reason that's marketable, because listen, we don't grow the most perfect looking arugula you've ever seen. It's not, I
don't even know what perfect arugula looks like.
Well,
so you're a good
microgreen arugula,
here.
though, you could imagine, look at a bean sprout and imagine a variation of that with a bigger leaf, a thicker leaf, but not much.
Right.
That's what it is.
But what matters to them is that it's from a quarter mile away.
Right.
And it's
local.
It's literally as local as we get. So in terms of us getting, we have so much scaling we could do here.
Right.
And still have all of our customers be less than a mile
Have
away.
you gone to any farm to table conferences or events or things like that?
Man, we were
No?
going to this winter, and then I got a staph infection in my thumb.
From eating microgreens.
No,
and therefore
Unrelated.
What did he say? In his tongue?
In his thumb.
thumb.
He had,
He said thumb.
Jesus,
He
I
had
said tongue.
he had
No.
surgery on his.
That's a green thumb. Literally had a green
he
thumb.
had a green thumb.
Oh God, you guys, we have gone down a bad.
I can't believe you said that.
Oh
God.
jeez.
He's been waiting the whole show
I have
to
so
use
many.
that.
It was
he has
good.
a
It
lot
was
of
Grower, not a
good.
shower.
a grower, not a
Oh my
shower.
God.
Oh no.
It's happened. It's all happening.
It's all happening.
Let it go now.
Amazing.
So are you going to get the bug or the urge to do music again? And if you do,
Don't worry, Arnie.
What?
Don't worry.
No, music has never
Jamie
been
plays
a reliable.
in 3 bands currently.
He does.
A David Bowie
Yeah.
tribute band.
Really?
He's a big Bowie fan.
This is
are?
not
yeah.
detracting from.
It's not really taking away from it?
No, you do both.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Because you got 24 hours
I
in a
probably
day.
play more music now. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I have to. I have to.
Right.
He's a Taurus.
Yeah.
I have to.
He's a Taurus. Well, that explains everything. Exeter, band, and now
Yeah.
microgreens. It all makes sense
Tell us
now.
Yeah.
What are your bands? Your outlets?
Glass Spiders, David Bowie tribute band.
Right.
Love that.
And you're the drummer, right?
I play drums. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I'm in my longest band that I've been in is called Magpies, and we're
Is that what Tan's in?
Tolan.
Tolan. I love Tolan.
And we have been a band for a while. Sam and Tolan have been playing together for 10 years. They're from Havre, and it's like total indie 90s rock. And
Sure.
it's the best.
Tolan is
Super
your
fun.
Thurston Moore lookalike around town. If you
Really?
think you're running into
And sound
Yeah.
alike.
if you're, right,
Sound
and
alike.
sound. I didn't know that. So
I see.
when am I going to see you guys next?
We are playing next on September 8th at the Plus One Festival at the Palace in the Bath.
Oh,
Center.
you got to make sure we know about that. Where Arnie's going to come with me.
We'll
Yeah.
definitely do. So, do you, Carly, get urges to cut people's hair?
No, sir. No, I do
You're
not.
done with that.
No.
Yeah.
I'm cutting new things now.
Okay, good.
Yes.
But I do have to ask you about that because I'm fascinated. In Missoula, being a hairstylist,
Yes.
did you run into a lot of situations where people wanted you to do things that you knew were the wrong things to do for them?
I was very lucky that over the years I had built up a clientele that I had really long-standing relationships with, and I feel like
So that means you could tell them that what you wanted to do
Cut
was-
hair?
with Boom Swagger.
Oh,
yeah.
Ooh, fancy.
I started that baby.
You did?
Hell yeah, I did.
All right, so she's got a track record of creating successful brands
But
locally.
that's a tough business to be in with, discerning women who
Sure.
have some magazine and say, I want to look like, her.
In Missoula, I apprenticed in Portland and worked in Portland for a few years, and it was a little bit more like that. But Missoula women are primarily not like that.
Right.
They're sort of like, this is my vibe. This is how I want to feel. This is what I want to put into it.
That's even harder.
No, it's better. It's better.
It might be better, but
For
it's
me.
harder.
For me,
Because
I
you got
can
a
work with
picture
that.
if you can just kind of give you an idea. If somebody says my vibe is, Gemini,
Yeah.
what do you do about that?
surprisingly helpful. Like if you told me 3 words about how you wanted your hair to
you could do
Arnie,
it.
we
I
could
want it
do it.
to grow.
We could do it.
You got something you can use for me for
I'm
that?
making sure we get a picture of the 4 of us for our website. Hold on one second. So hair, music, outside interests, still keeping this business going. Who's doing the selling for you guys? Who's going out there and establishing new accounts? Like another Good Food or another Cafe Dolce. I mean, you're in the finest establishments in Missoula. So
I mean, that's all Jamie. That building the base of our business was all Jamie pounding the pavement that first year.
what's the plan, Jamie?
So now we're members of the Western Montana Growers Co-op, which basically extends we can sell now. We're in Billings, Whitefish, down in Hamilton. I mean,
Right.
we're all over because of those guys, and they do the selling. But so really, we can't really grow our customer base anymore in Missoula for now,
Right.
because of our arrangement with them. So we're just maintaining the customers we have in Missoula.
Okay.
Because again, for the microgreens, it's pretty. I think our saturation point in Missoula for that kind of product,
Right.
because they are expensive.
Right.
And I mean,
What are they on average a cost?
So ours are better than most. So we sell ours for 3.5. It's a 3.5 ounce clamshell. So
Right.
that's like a good couple.
It's hard, right.
fistfuls.
Right.
And that sells for $6.99 at the Good Food store.
Got it.
A thing like that in New York would be like $12.
Sure, and it lasts. If you use it for salads and other dishes, it lasts a week and a half.
Oh yeah, it keeps great.
I was going to say the product does keep great because I remember it probably travels well too. So you don't have waste and you don't have what do they call that, shrinkage?
Yeah, shrinkage.
Right.
You don't have shrinkage because you grow it, you pick it, you box it, you clamshell it, and it lasts for how long?
Yeah, it lasts for a long time.
Couple
And
weeks.
we almost never. Well, we never. When we harvest anything, it is at the customer within 24 hours.
Sure.
So we would never put something in the cooler and say
I like
a
good
week
food.
later. Yeah,
Right.
Jamie, do we have discerning enough buyers in Missoula that when they go into the Good Food store and see a clamshell filled with that stuff, they know what it is and how to use it?
Yeah, I mean, I think for sure part of our.
Because clearly I'm not one of them.
We're
But-
waiting to see if it will stick. The retail thing is totally still up in the air, and
I mean, restaurants, I understand. They know what chefs
Totally.
have a certain kind of need for that for their signature dishes and how they want to differentiate themselves. But
Right.
but retail buyers walking around,
Yeah.
pushing their cart around.
And that's where Jamie sort of dialed the retail selection to be really usable, basically interchangeable for like salad greens.
Right.
So the pea shoots, the radish, the broccoli, anywhere you would use sprouts, certainly those could be used, but then also in place of just salad greens. So they're definitely more user friendly.
Sure. So
They're not-
you on the flowers. I want to talk about flowers for a minute. You grow flowers all year?
No.
No. So what's the growing season for flowers?
So the growing season is probably April through October.
Right.
With those shoulders being lighter.
Right.
But and then we do a lot of dried stuff, and I do
Sure.
wreaths and all sorts of random seed saving and.
But for the
winter
cut
things.
flowers from during the summer, who do you sell to? Who are your customers?
So mostly wholesale as far as straight bunches and things. Habitat Floral Studio was a huge supporter from the get-go and has continued to be. But we currently, the West Side Flower Market, all 4 of the main florists in town,
Buy your
Bitterroot.
products?
Yep, they all come every week. Bitterroot, The Flower Bed, Garden City Floral, and Habitat.
I'm, from New York. Who's your lawyer? I'm serious. Did you hit him up and say you need fresh flowers in your waiting room every
Right?
Monday?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that is a new line of business that if you
Funeral homes.
But those weeklies are huge. So
Yes.
a weekly
You can
like
count on them.
subscription base, absolutely. So all of our restaurant, as sort of a byproduct of Jamie's relationships with restaurants,
Right.
many of our restaurants get that type of service.
That's great.
Which is awesome.
Right.
We've started doing bouquet sales at Le Petit weekly, so
That's
like
nice.
Thursday
But
through
what about funeral
Sunday.
homes? They use a lot of flowers.
Yeah, and that's like probably less my.
concerning.
Although, I mean, I'm certainly not
Easter?
against it, but I've never been contacted. For that type of
Calling
work, maybe it's not my
Hippolito is the
aesthetic.
one in Summit, New
The
Jersey.
florists who are providing that work
Right.
do use our flowers
Okay.
and are making an effort to access more local flowers, which is cool.
I like it. And I like the idea of a subscription-based recurrent business. Another question. You're building a brand, Killing Frost Farm. Has anyone or have you thought about going to other product lines, meaning, and not even necessarily even harvesting, but just putting the name on tea or on coffee or on other things? So is that in the works? You guys are smiling.
We got that.
You got
Oh, you
that.
got that.
Tell us. We need
Well,
an
then
exclusive.
No.
I mean,
wearing
it's
a
exclusive that you're
Killing
here.
Frost Farm hat instead of a competitor's.
Customer.
Oh,
Yeah.
customer. Okay, excuse.
A
Okay,
great
good.
customer, too, for that matter.
It's
They
true.
make sandwiches there.
That's
Black Coffee Roasting
true.
Company.
They're great. They are
True.
great.
All right, but talk to
Gorgeous
us. What
hat.
are some of the other areas that you can work in? Go into?
I mean,
It's not too early.
No, I guess we're not going to talk about it because
It's
No, we
it's
can't.
top
So
secret.
it's true.
good, but I'm
The
onto
new one
something.
Is, the new
You're
one
onto
is-
something. Well, here's the interesting thing is one thing that we've realized for sure is that it's about value added products for us
for the winter.
for the
especially.
winter.
The
you know,
off-season.
so like last year, Carly doing wreaths, that was something that we really didn't know how it would go. Or she made bath soaks,
Okay,
and that stuff because it's all from our property.
right.
It's all stuff that was harvested months ago and dried, so the capital input into it is negligible.
Right.
But the product is so great, and it's the same thing with the produce or the cut flowers. It's local, and people feel good about that. So we're gonna do way more wreaths this year, garlands.
Well, there are two things that make sense about your business. One is, once you build rapport and establish relationship with customers, there are complementary kinds of products that if you have them available, they're going to want to buy them from you because they have confidence in your, skill and ability and your quality. Secondly, there's probably an offshoot which you've probably explored or maybe you're already doing of online sales for folks who can who you haven't met face to face and who hear about what you're doing and.
If
So-
we weren't both allergic to technology, we are terrible.
Yeah.
Do you want me to show you my flip phone?
No.
It's like
No,
pretty
no, no.
sad.
Why you? But Arnie's onto something here because we order a lot from. He totally does. Orders a lot from out of state
Sure.
purveyors of
Oh, it's
food.
huge. Yeah. It's
Well, they're
huge.
closing
I mean,
100
that's-
Macy's because nobody everybody buys online. There are
Sure.
people that never go to stores anymore.
Yes, absolutely.
Zabars,
Well, I mean,
Katz's.
Amazon delivers for practically for free. Amazon Prime overnight.
Right.
Anything you want.
know what's
Absolutely. Well,
interesting?
and for the wreaths, that's huge.
Yeah,
I want to
wreath.
be able to send my family a wreath and
Sure.
some others.
Right.
Absolutely.
The nice thing
anyway.
is also people like to take a bit of Missoula with them after they visited here over the summer. They want to,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
Like I think about those things.
It's so true.
And look,
You're going to be the first. You two are going to be part of our first test audience for the new product line.
not enough.
Yeah. Less than you're making.
But we're enriched by your presence.
Yeah. This is we do this for sport. So who's your main competitor?
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a funny question.
Kind
It's
of not
complicated.
we kind of don't.
Well, I invited all of my competitors
Look, not everybody gets a
to
trophy,
come
okay?
sell their
There's
wares
gotta
out
be
of
a
our
competitor.
garage. No, literally.
Jamie. Not everybody gets a trophy.
Literally. I mean,
Gotta be a champ.
I formed the West Side Growers Market and then invited all of flower market. What's it called? What's that thing?
Yeah.
What's that thing? Invited all of our competitors to come sell. Right.
Nice.
So,
Co-opetition.
right. And that's the thing with I don't think it's definitely we are
And
stronger.
did they all come to the? Did they all show
I mean,
up?
many of them were stronger in that market together because we certainly are not
Absolutely.
the scale that we could provide everything that florists need. So in order to get them to use a local market regularly, they need volume, they need consistency, they need good variety. So we need growers.
What is inhibiting you from doing that? More land, more money, more interest to provide everybody with everything.
Well,
at least during your growing season.
I mean, I don't have a desire, and B, even if I did, I just don't think it's possible. We need growers. Like the percentage that these florists buy from our market, which has grown this year, is, I mean, maybe 2% of what they spend in a yearly budget.
Right.
Could one farm? No. Could 4 farms? No, we couldn't cover that.
Well, look, the website is killingfrostfarm.com. Our guests are Carly and Jamie Rogers. You're listening to What Do You Know on Newstalk KGVO. We're going to finish up with our final segment. And in our final segment, I'm going to ask you a few questions about the different varieties of microgreens. I'm still going to push you on this new product that you're thinking of launching. You're not going to divulge, but we'll get close to it.
And then we're going to ask you about your favorite songs.
We're going to talk to you about your favorite
David Bowie music.
Yeah, we're going to finish up on a high note. Well, not that this is not a high note, but we're going to finish up on
a musical note.
A higher note, a musical note. Back after this. All right, we're back with Carly and Jamie, Killing Frost Farm. Let's sum it up, Arnie.
Well, I want
you learned a lot here. You were surprised.
I was surprised to learn about all of these things. Now I know when I go into the good food store what those clamshells are and what's in those things, because I've walked by them many times without having an engagement with those. I had no idea what they are. And I understand the business niche they have, and they have some new products to fulfill their sort of catalog of things. And I understand they're technologically challenged, but at some point, the online possibility is obviously the direction that businesses are going in, and it's great for planning purposes and for running a business. Whether you fulfill yourself or whether you work with somebody that will fulfill for you. Like people who sell directly to Amazon, and then they don't have to worry about selling to customers. They do B2B kind of things, which is the kind of business you're really in. You're not going to open your own retail store. I don't think you're thinking about doing that.
I think I see what you're saying for the value-added stuff.
Yes.
Like that stuff, that makes sense.
Come closer to the mic.
But a big part of our business model, I think what we rely on, people ask us all the time, well, do you guys want to get like land out of town, like get some big land? And it's like, well, no, because our business is predicated on being so close to our customers and our customers appreciating that. So the online thing would work, for some things like the bath soaks and stuff, but it's also a little bit counter to, I think, what we're about.
Until we do our taxes in January, and I'm like, Arnie, why didn't we listen to you? I don't understand Excel. It's a nightmare. So yeah, you're for sure right. We need to get better.
But what's very charming about this story is that they kind of went into with no preconceived notions of either even doing this, let alone starting a business.
Relaxed. I know that.
I like that.
Really under the surface, it's probably not that way. But they're the most relaxed, cool, people about starting a business. It's like, hey, dude, let's go start a business and let's do microgreens and let's do it locally.
That's not what they did, though. I'm saying, like, that they didn't go into it like, we're going to graduate and we're going to. You guys kind of fell into this, and you were, like, to Carly's point, she said, I'm a capitalist. She goes, I wanted to make money, and this is a
she made money at a good salon, so she knows how to make money and knows how to keep
and
customers.
I like figuring things out.
What does that mean? What do you mean by that?
I like puzzles. I like MacGyvering things. So,
Okay.
I feel like Jamie and I both have faith that if we're passionate or interested in something, we'll figure it out or we'll
adjust. By the way, you're going to be very disappointed. There is going to be a new MacGyver TV series.
Oh, really?
It probably can't compare to the original.
Have you seen
I saw
any?
a clip of him. He doesn't look like the guy, the cool guy who played the last time.
How
Who was that?
can you contend with that?
Richard Dean Anderson.
I just feel like hair like that doesn't even exist anymore.
Junkie.
No.
It doesn't.
I'm a pop
That was impressive.
junkie.
That was impressive.
But, here's what Arnie's right. Is everything that he said with respect to, growing the business, different niches, different opportunities. On a marketing standpoint, which is really my forte, I would start having your customers starting to provide recipes and uses for your products and put that on your website and have them put it on their website so you're creating a little more flow and more traffic and more ID for your products?
Which is so funny. So do you guys use Instagram at all?
Yes. You should have an Instagram page.
We do, and it is magical. Okay, so Instagram is the only piece of tech social that we do actively and well, and it's been incredible. It was largely what built the second half of our season last year, but the relationships, particularly in Missoula, we have Tucker Farms, Black Coffee, Cafe Dolce, Burn Street, Habitat. We're, Instagram, there's so much of this like cross-referencing, and people it's amazing, like so happy to advertise for one another. So that absolutely exists.
Growth for growth's sake isn't always necessarily a good thing, right? You can grow yourself into a point where the business isn't fun anymore, and you have to spend more to make more, and it's just not what you had in mind. But it is good for the ancillary things that Scott was just mentioning, like figuring out what to do with that clamshell filled with, how as a consumer, I want to use microgreens. I don't know how to use them. I'm going to go, maybe I won't know how to use these greens exactly. I may not even know how to describe them accurately, but I can go to your website and figure out what you tell us you should do with them.
Absolutely.
What you're doing is you're teaching other potential customers how to use your product, and that helps, right? That grows your base. And then the second thing is they have a business to consumer outlet, and some people are like, well, I'll go look for it. So you're creating demand for the Good Food Store, or you're creating demand for Burn Street Bistro. So those are the little things you could do to really just build, again, locally like you're doing, I think.
Right, and of course, we're so successful at all these ideas that we're just doing a radio show.
You guys, I love
it. Sunday morning.
We're teachers. If we're in another life, you can't do teach.
This is what we do. This is what we do after we've had careers that have crashed and burned. We're giving young entrepreneurs advice on how to do their business the right way.
By the way.
Can we schedule our next counseling session?
Sure.
Cool. Perfect.
We'll do it over drinks at the Silver Dollar.
Beautiful.
I want to hear Jamie perform. I want to hear what's your favorite Bowie song, by the way, when you guys perform?
Oh yeah, give us your top.
When we play.
Yes. Ground control to Major Tom.
That one's fun.
Go to the mic. Go close to the mic.
Probably Look Back in Anger is a band favorite.
Right. What's your favorite in terms of the drums?
People,
which one do you like to really pound
Look
out?
Back in Anger is super fun. Dance. Panic in Detroit is really fun.
Yeah.
How about Lust for Life? Oh no, that's Iggy Pop.
Did you study playing drums in high school?
No, I don't actually know how to play drums.
No, you don't really.
I just do that.
Figuring it out.
It's just figuring it out. He doesn't know how to play.
I know.
He never knows.
I know how to play drums a little bit more than I know how to grow microgreens.
He is. He's the Keith Moon or the Charlie Watts of microgreens.
Yeah. Except he's a lot younger.
He's the Scott Ashton of microgreens. He's the. You're the Matt. Wait, let me think. Who's Mudhoney's drummer? Or you're the Dan Peters of. Oh. I'm throwing it at you. He and I do this. I'm going back.
This is too obscure for most of our listeners. They're switching over for Grizzly Sports right now.
They are. All right, this is a delightful show.
Great show. You guys are terrific guests. We wish you a lot of luck in your business, and we'll keep our eyes open for microgreens everywhere.
Thank you for having us.
You're the best. I'm so excited to hang out again. See you next
we love
month.
seeing you guys. Our guests were Carly and Jamie from Killing Frost Farm. You could find them online at killingfrost.com, and you could also find them on Instagram. Okay, Arnie, I'll see you next week.
See you next week. By the way, we got a great show next week. We have the owner of Jakers talking about why and how he paid his employees full salaries and benefits when he was closed down for over 4 months.
Absolutely.
That's an interesting story.
Justin will be our guest.
One our listeners need to hear about.
I can't wait. I'll see you next week. Thank you for listening to What Do You Know?
I can't wait for the next show, Scott.
I'm excited too, Arnie. If you'd like to suggest a guest, send me an email at scottrichmond@townsquaremedia.com. We'll see you next week. And thanks for listening to Newstalk KGVO, AM 1290, 1015 FM, and newstalkkgvo.com.